Hi, welcome to the channel. Today is the second day of the fifth chapter, that is the new demographics. Let's start. Strategy 2. Sell what people buy and ask them if you are not sure. As you focus on getting to know your people, keep this important principle in mind. Most of us like to buy, but we don't like to be sold. Old school marketing is based on persuasion, new marketing is based on invitation. With persuasion marketing, you are trying to convince people of something, whether it's the need for your service in general or why your particular offering is better than the competition's. A persuasion marketer is like a door-to-door vacuum cleaner salesman. If he knocks on enough doors, he might eventually sell a vacuum cleaner, but at great personal cost and much rejection. Persuasion marketing is still around and always will be, but now there's an alternative. If you don't want to go door to door with a vacuum cleaner in hand, consider how the people in our study have created businesses that customers desperately want to be a part of. What do you sell? Remember the lesson from chapter 2. Find out what people want and find a way to give it to them. As you build a tribe of committed fans and loyal customers, they will eagerly await your new offers, ready to pounce as soon as they go live. This way isn't just new, it's also better. When you are brainstorming different ideas and aren't sure which one is best, one of the most effective ways to figure it out is simply to ask your prospects, your current customers, if you have them, or anyone you think might be a good fit for your idea. It helps to be specific. Asking people if they like something isn't very helpful, since you are trying to build a business, not just a hobby. A better method is to ask if they would be willing to pay for what you are selling. This separates merely liking something from actually paying off it. Questions like these are good starting points. Number one, what is your biggest problem with dash? What is the number one question you have about dash? What can I do to help with you dash? Fill in the blanks with a specific topic, niche, or industry you are researching. What is your biggest problem with getting things done? Or what is the number one question you have about online dating? The fun thing about this kind of research, especially the open-ended questions to which people can respond however they would like, is that you will often learn things you had no idea about before. It's also a way to build momentum toward a big launch or relaunch, something we will look at more in chapter 8. You can ask for input either on a small on one-on-one basis or on a group basis. To check with a broader group of respondents, I use a paid service provided by surveymonkey.com, but you can also create a free, less sophisticated version with Google Forms available within Google Docs. Write to your group for respondents. Tell them what you are thinking about and ask for help. It's good to keep the survey very simple. Ask only what you need to know. All of us are busy, but if you construct a good survey, the response rate can be 50% or higher. Once you have moved beyond the basics and have a good idea of what you are hoping to offer, you can take this process further. I often write to my customer list and ask about specific product ideas like this. Here are a few projects I am thinking about working on during the next few months, but I could be totally wrong. But please let me know what you think of each idea. Idea 1, idea 2, idea 3, etc. I then apply a simple ranking scale to each idea and ask the respondent to stick with their first impression. The ranking scale usually consists of answers such as I love it, you should do it, sounds interesting, would need to hear more, and it's not for me. Generally speaking, it's good to keep surveys to less than 10 questions or so. To get more overall responses, ask fewer questions. To get more detailed responses, but from where few people ask more questions. It's up to you, but make sure that whatever you ask is something you actually need to know about. People about pay close attention to the feedback. It will either confirm your intention to proceed or make you think about restructuring your proposed project. Either way, the information is valuable, but also remember that the majority opinion is not everything. Among other concerns, you will need your own motivations for building a project over time. If your motivation are based strictly on the preferences of someone else, you will run the risk of boredom, unhappiness, and simply being less purposeful than you could be otherwise. The lesson is to use surveys, but use them carefully. Sometimes deciding not to pursue a promising project or deliberately turning away business is one of the most powerful things you can do. The customer is always right, often wrong. It was a big launch day, which meant I was up by 5 a.m., coffee in hand and ready to go. As the new website went live, hundreds of customers were ready and waiting to purchase. I watched the shopping cart fill up and closely monitored in the box for support business issues. Happily, the launch was successful. By noon, more than 1,000 people had purchased, and that number would double by the end of the day. I had sent so many customer thank you emails that Google briefly shut down my email account thinking I was a spammer. A friend at the company rescued me by restoring the account, and I went back to plowing through messages. In the box were hundreds of notes from excited new customers as well as dozens of major dozens of minor support requests. I lost my password. The site is down. How can I change my login? And so on. And then there was Dan. The note from Dan read, I would like a refund. I wrote him back quickly. No problem, but what's wrong? Let me give you some free advice. Dan wrote in a tone that was obviously sarcastic. Give me a call and I will tell you how you lost my business. I looked at the shopping cart and the site comments. Several orders and dozens of exciting messages were coming through every minute. I replied to Dan, sorry, I can't call you. I'll issue the refund and I wish you will, but I don't need any advice right now. You have you have probably heard the expression the customer is always right, but most small business owners quickly discover this is not true. Yes, you want to focus on meeting people's needs and going above and beyond them whenever you can, but any single customer does not always know what's best for your whole business. These customers may not be the right ones for your business, and there's nothing wrong with saying farewell to them so you can focus on serving other people. I didn't have time to call Dan on launch day, and perhaps I missed a good opportunity to learn from him, but I am pretty sure it was the better decision to get back to work on my core market instead of spending time with one disgruntled customer who had already received a refund. The possibilities list and decision making matrix. As you learn more about your customers and what they want, you may find yourself overwhelmed with ideas. What should you do when you have more ideas than time to pursue them? Two things. First, make sure you are capturing all the ideas and writing them down since you might want them later. Second, find a way to evaluate competing ideas. Creating a possibilities list helps you retain ideas for when you have more time to implement them. Most of them, however, having an idea is a problem for entrepreneurs. Once you begin to think of opportunities, you will probably end up with no shortage of ideas written on napkins, scrawled in notebooks, and floating around in your head. The problem is evaluating which projects are worth pursuing and then deciding between different ideas. Sometimes you may know intuitively what the best move is. In those cases, you should proceed without hesitation. Other times, though, you will feel conflicted. What should you do? The decision making matrix will help you evaluate a range of projects and separate the winners from the maybe laters. Putting something off doesn't mean you will never do it, but prioritization will help you get started on what makes the most impact. First of all, keep in mind the most basic questions of any successful micro businesses. Does the project produce an obvious product or service? Do you know people who will want to buy it, or do you know where to find them? Do you have a way to get paid? Those questions from a simple baseline evaluation. If you don't have a clear yes on one of them, go back to the drawing board. Let's assume, however, that you can answer yes to all of them, but no, you can't pursue 5 big projects at one time. In that case, you will need some method of evaluation. Here's one option: the decision making matrix. Decision making matrix, what is this? Ideas, impact, effort, probability, vision, and sum. Idea 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, in this matrix you will list your ideas in the left hand column and then score them on the scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest. Granted, the scoring will be subjective, but since we have looking for trends, it's okay to estimate. Score your ideas according to these criteria. Impact: overall, how much of an impact will this project make on your business and customers? Effort: how much time and work will it take to create the project? In this case, the lower score indicates more effort, so choose 1 for a project that requires a ton of work and 5 for a project that requires almost no work. Profitability: relative to the others' ideas, how much money will the project bring in? Vision: how close a fit is this project with your overall mission and vision? Rank each item on a scale of 1 to 5 and then add them up in the right hand column. Remember, you are looking for trends. If you have to cut one project, cut the lowest one. If you can only take on one project, proceed with the highest one. Here's an example from my own business when I was deciding which business projects to pursue in the second half of 2011. Publishing guide: impact 4, effort 3, profitability 3, fit with vision 5, total 15. Empire building kit: impact 4, effort 2, profitability 5, fit with vision 4, total 15. Community building webinar: impact 3, effort 4, profitability 2, fit with vision 3, total 12. Shopping cart project: impact 3, effort 3, profitability 3, fit with vision 3, total 12. Small live workshop: impact 4, effort 1, profitability 1, fit with vision 4, total 10. When you don't know where to start and have a bunch of ideas, this exercise can help. In my case, the live workshop would have a big impact on the people who attended them, or so I bored, but not on anyone else. They would require a great deal of prep time, energy, and won't be very profitable. Therefore, I put them on hold. The decision making matrix also helps you see the strengths and weaknesses of your ideas. I liked the idea of a small live workshop until I realized they would require a great deal of work for little reward and impact. This was a big weakness. On the other hand, the project like the webinar represented a middle ground. I didn't expect the workload to be overwhelmed, and I expected it to deliver above average, although not amazing results. When we last left off with James Craig in chapter 1, he had moved from Seattle to South Carolina and opened the coffee shop he had been thinking about for the last 6 months. What happened next as a Seattle into a slower way of life and go to know his customers, he made a new changes. I learned there was no way you could have a breakfast place down here and not sell biscuits. He said, if you had told me back in Seattle that my coffee shop would sell biscuits, I would have laughed. He also sold a great deal of iced tea almost every day of the year, something that would be ordered only once in a while on a hot summer day in the Pacific Northwest. But James adapted quickly, deciding on which parts of his operation were flexible and which couldn't be changed. He could add biscuits to the morning menu. For example, he could ramp up the iced tea production for those who wanted it, but he would continue to ensure that the coffee beans were extra fresh and the es- espresso preparation was just as he had learned back in Seattle. The next time you are in Lexington, shop in for a biscuit and Americano. James and his team will be waiting. Key point. Key points. Who are your people? You don't necessarily have to think of them in categories such as age, race, and gender. Instead, you can think of them in terms of shared beliefs and values. You can often allow a fad, craze, or trend by establishing yourself as an authority and simplifying something about the press for others, hoping to benefit from it. Use surveys to understand customers and prospects. The more specific, the better. Ask, what is the number one thing I can do for you? Use the decision making matrix to evaluate multiple ideas against one another. You don't have to choose only one idea, but the exercise can help you decide what you pursue next. And thus, today the fifth chapter has completed. In the next session, we will start part 2 of the $100 startup, that is taking it to the secret, and first chapter, that is the one page business plan. Okay, if you are new on the channel, subscribe the channel and press bell icon so that you will get notification about new video upload, and don't forget to like and share. Thank you so much.